Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session of the AI series on AI prompts and frameworks for curriculum development workshop. All of these AI series are actually sponsored in collaboration with the College of Grad Studies, Grad AI, and the Provost Office. Today's presenter is Todd O'Neill. Todd O'Neill is an associate professor and coordinator of the interactive media here at Middle Tennessee State University. He has created courses and curricula for social media, interactive media, user experience, and content strategy. Before beginning to teach full-time, Todd had a 30-year career as a video, multimedia, and online producer and consultant, creating award-winning projects for the likes of the artists FKA Prince and multinational corporations, nonprofits, and small businesses. Honestly, in a nutshell, Todd is an advocate of AI, not just for his college, but for campus and for the community. Todd, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you. Todd O'Neill. I've been doing this for a while. Here's my journey. The reason I'm doing this session is because I have found that these AI tools are really helpful to do curriculum development. It started last June, actually June 5th. I have a course that I needed to teach in the fall that I had never taught before. We had never offered it. It's a digital media law course. We teach it for interactive media because we found that the core media law requirement for our college didn't serve our students. It was very journalism focused and television focused. And the internet was covered in week 14 of a 15-week semester. See, it was not helpful. We put this course on the books in 2017. I had a syllabus, I had an outline, but I had never taught the course. And I was how to teach it in the fall. So I said, I'm gonna do this. But the foundational book I was using stopped publication in 2014 on the death of the author. And a lot has happened in 11 years in the interactive media digital world. And so there was a lot to do. And so I leaned into AI. I said, I'm going to try this. I'm going to experiment with this. I keep saying it's good. Let's see if it's really good. It turned out to be pretty good. And so I'm going to show you some of the techniques I've used. In the fall, I actually started using it to re-engineer another course that we merged. We discontinued a course, so we merged that content into an existing course. So I used it for that, restructured another course, improved another course. And just because I see an MT Online colleague there, I am not an instructional designer, nor do I play one on TV. Just know, okay? So don't be too hard on me. But I'll kind of give you a peek and what I've been doing. All right, so here's what we're going to cover today. What it can and can't do for curriculum work. That's important to know. We're going to talk about a framework, prompting frameworks. This is really the key to making these tools work for you. All right. I'm going to do a live demo. I'm going to show you how to create a set of learning objectives from using one of my syllabi from about 4 years ago. I create module content for D2L in a Microsoft Word document, and then I copy and paste into D2L. So we're gonna use those two documents to generate and improve the current learning outcomes that are listed in my syllabus. So you'll see how that works live. I want you to do some hands-on practice. So if you have a computer, fire it up. If you have a favorite tool, fire it up. Let's get that rolling. And actually, I'd like you to try to do your own prompting using some of these techniques. And then we're going to talk about instructor disclosure. This is important. The idea here is that if you're using AI, then you need to model that behavior, model ethical behavior for your students. And that is super important. So we'll talk about that and I'll show you what that looks like. So what can it do? It can do this kind of stuff, right? You can use it to draft and revise current materials. Just so you understand, I don't have AI tools write anything for me. They are all working off of my existing materials and tweaking it, and then I go back in and take a look at it and do my own revision. But it does do things that, frankly, as an instructor, I hate to do. I do not like writing quizzes. My brain is not wired to write quizzes. It writes awesome quizzes. I'm not sophisticated enough in instructional design to do rubrics. Makes amazing rubrics. So yeah, there's some really great advantages to what it can do. Yes, I use it to restructure courses, and I told you about that. I can show you a little bit more about that. Discussion prompts, yeah, a whole variety. Do I have it like create the discussion prompt for this? No, it's like, give me 5 choices and I want to see what you got and come up with something. So if you need to come up with ideas pretty quickly, these are the tools to use. Yes, I said I create these D2L course module pieces that I copy and paste into D2L, and eventually, we'll be moving that stuff into Canvas. But I can take my original material, my original schedule, my syllabus, and then all my other course materials, my assignments, presentations, all the materials, and I can ask it to draft a comprehensive schedule for me, and then ask it from that comprehensive schedule, draft the D2L content modules for the next 15 weeks. And it does that in 5 minutes. I think that's pretty valuable. Yes, I go back, I look at it. Iteration. It is important to not just take it, but look at it and question it. And I'll give you some ideas and some tips about how to make these tools really, really work for you. What can it do? It doesn't know things. It doesn't know a lot. This is actually a key component of using these tools correctly and effectively, which is context. You need to give the tools context. So they have some guardrails. We've all heard about hallucinations. Hallucinations are caused when you just give these tools free rein because their design, basic design, is guesswork. That is a feature, not a bug. But if you give it guardrails with context, contextual pieces, your standard schedule, your syllabus, your all the materials you've created, all of that narrows that in and reduces and or eliminates hallucinations. I mean, I've been working since June. So in the 7 months that I've been working with these tools, I can think of on one hand, the number of hallucinatory things that have popped up. And they were really easy to fix really quickly. Yes, it can do this. But again, guardrails, give it context, it's not going to do that for you. You have to make sure that what it's giving you is what you want. And either tell it to eliminate material that it maybe give you more of. And that's a problem with AI tools. They're designed in a post-processor, the stuff that's getting back, they're designed to please you as a human and to give you as much information in order to please you. And you need to tell it to back off. And that's very simple to do. So yeah, and that is kind of a product of hallucination, but it's not fake. It's just more than you need. And you need to have it, back off. And then also, as another product of this hallucinatory stuff, it won't give you some things because it doesn't think that will please you as a human. So sometimes you have to nudge it and make sure it does what you want it to do.
And Todd, there's a question in the chat.
Yes.
Is there a particular AI tool that you use most?
We are not there yet.
We're not there yet. Okay, it's coming.
Yep.
So Tara, it's coming.
It's coming.
Okay.
It's coming. Yeah, this is important. These tools out of the box, they don't have disciplinary expertise. They don't know what you do. They just don't. They have access to a lot of information, I guess, but they don't know what you do. and your approach to things, and that's important. They don't understand what is appropriate for your students. You have to tell it what is appropriate for your students. You have to tell it who your students are, because it has no idea. And I actually even go a little further. I actually tell it who my students are, and then I also do tell it at a university in Tennessee. And because there's some things that I want to be MTSU specific, I tell it I'm at Middle Tennessee State University. Right? I don't give it student names. Doesn't get any of, I don't violate any FERPA, but it needs to have context. So it builds I can build the guardrails so I can get what I need that's going to really work. This is the best thing to think about. I used to think of AI as like a 5-year-old Labrador Retriever PhD. That's how I used to define it. But this is actually pretty good. It's an uninformed teaching assistant. It's an intern. You direct those people to do what you want them to do. You don't say, hey, go create these things. You would never do that because they don't have that knowledge, right? So yeah, this is a way to like move things forward. Okay, the race prompting framework. This is just one of many different frameworks, but this is a framework that I use that's pretty effective and works pretty well. The first part is role. You actually tell the tool, who do you want it to be? How do you want it to position itself? Guardrail. So now it thinks in that mode. So when I'm working on a course, I tell it, you are an instructional designer with expertise in a classroom-based curriculum for whatever the subject matter is. At that point now, that's what the tool is going to work with. And so it's going to look at it from that standpoint. Everything else it does is going to look at it from that standpoint. And that's important. Audience, you need to tell it, who's this for? Right? So often we write stuff within higher education. We write it from the perspective of higher education. It's very often, some of our materials can sound pretty academic. They can sound like they should be in a journal article. That is not our audience. And so you tell it, who is your audience? For me, my audience is undergraduate Gen Z students at either MTSU or a regional university in Tennessee or from Tennessee, with no or little knowledge of this particular content. So right there, it's like, oh, okay. So that basically means I have to write it in an accessible format to them that's casual but professional, and off we go. Guardrails. So no, that's the only way I'm going to get the responses back in that kind of frame. What is the situation? What are you trying to do? Right? That's one piece of context. You have to tell it what is the task, but also other parts of context. And I'll show you one of my project folders. Other pieces of context are all your course materials. Put them all in there. And I will talk to you about the safety of doing that. I know we have copyright concerns, who owns your materials, et cetera, but I'll talk to you about the safety of putting them into these tools. And then what do you want to have happen? What's the output? What is it going to be? How long do you want materials? I use it frequently to create and actually not really create, revise presentation slides. And I tell it what I want. I need a presentation that lasts about, I want to edit down. I have 85 minutes. I want that presentation to last 45 minutes. So I have time for work sessions for the students. The slide should contain no more than this number of bullets. It'll kind of figure out how many slides I want based on that time length, because there's some kind of rules of thumb about how long you should land on a slide before you move on. And I let it do that work. And it not only does that work, right? But it then will also give me, and if I have time, I'll show it to you. At the end of a slide deck, and I have it create presentation outlines that I then implement in whatever tool I want to. At the end of the deck, it says, okay, here's all the sources that I referenced up above. And if it's a version of a deck, a slide deck, it tells me this is the version and here's what I did to it. And here's the other version and here's what I did to that. So it's given me so much more documentation that I don't know about you, but I don't add that stuff to my things. I don't have time for that. So it's really useful that way. Okay, in action, here it is. So here's an example of a prompt. Higher education curriculum designer with expertise in backward design. Course is a first-year undergraduate course in a general ed course program. 16 weeks, intro to biology, mid-sized public university. It's actually very much like us, right? Current learning objectives are vague and not aligned to assignments. That's a thing. Rewrite 5 measurable learning objectives using Bloom's taxonomy action. Okay, yeah, that's pretty standard stuff, right? If you're not an instructional designer, you may not be all up on Bloom's taxonomy. There's actually a whole movement right now to flip Bloom's taxonomy. Another discussion. So yeah, you know your content, but you may not know instructional design, curriculum design. And you can use these tools because you've given it guardrails and told it who you want it to look at. It then looks at its pile of knowledge and only looks at that material and doesn't look at like when George Washington's mother's birthday was, right? Doesn't look at all the stuff. All right, here's a quick thing. Use AI to build your initial prompt. So when you start with a project, say, okay, this is the project. I need to combine 2 courses, the material from 2 courses. One course we discontinued, we're moving that material into this existing course. And I need to have a better understanding of all the things I need to do and how to best present this to the AI tool so that I can get the best results. So interview me to develop the prompt, the master prompt that I'm going to use to make this thing happen. And that's what it does. It asks you questions and it zeroes in, narrows down, context, 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 guardrails, guardrails, guardrails. And then it generates a document in a format that the tool can read because the tools don't do well with heavily formatted material. And it gives you the document. And then when you want to get started, you copy, open up a new prompt window, paste, hit return, and off it goes. And now it'll either start asking you more questions or it'll give you an overview. It'll, depends on what you've, defined in the prompt. So yeah, works pretty well. You can have it use any framework. RACE is one. Another one's called role task format, RTF. It's a bit simpler than RACE. There's chain of thought, which is slightly more rambling, but it's more like a question and answer thing, and a number of other prompt frameworks out there. Yeah, once you look at the prompt that's developed, look at it and say, okay, yes, oh no, that's not quite right. Let me tweak that. I'll tweak that. And you'll eventually get a prompt that you can use that's really going to work. It's important to iterate on all these tools. Don't just like take what it gives you, right? But challenge it. And I'll give you a way to challenge these tools as you're, in the process, right? This is just an example of how you can do that. I need to rewrite my syllabus learning objectives. Help me write a detailed prompt for that using the RACE framework. And that's what it will do. It's going to interview you and ask you and move you forward. Okay. Instructions. With every prompt, you put in basically what you're doing is you're telling the tool, you're directing the tool what to do. Right? Again, think of it like an intern or teaching assistant. You tell them what to do. You give them directions, and that's what you need to do here. But so that you don't have to keep repeating yourself, right? Who wants that? Who wants to keep repeating themselves? You build an instructions document. And you can ask the tool, okay, got that prompt, really cool. Now I'd like to create a standard instructions document that will, based on what I've asked you in the prompt, that I can use every time. And every time that you go, work on this project, you refer to that instructions document first, and then off you go. What do you put in an instructions document? You make sure that your audience is listed in there. If you have a particular format for like presentations, put it in there. If you have particular formats you may use for like learning objectives, voice and tone information, if you think you're going to be iterating, how do you version documents? What kind of notes do you want? A hot tip is how do you want facts and figures documented? How do you do that? All of that can go in an instructions document, and then you don't have to keep repeating yourself over and over and over, because that's just tedious. It makes it tedious. It's so much more efficient if you can give it a shorter prompt, but understand that you have this instructions document, you have the master prompt, and now that shorter prompt lets you zero in on exactly what you want to do right now. That's really, really helpful. Again, guardrails prevents or eliminates hallucinations. These instructions are really good at, again, narrowing it down, forcing context so that the tools just don't go off on doing their thing. This is something I added. What I found was I created a standard instructions document, and then every so often I would see something and go, oh yeah, we shouldn't do that anymore. And I asked the tool, so okay, so there's things that pop up that I want to add to the instructions document. What would be a good way to do that? I just asked the tool to tell me. And he goes, well, what you could do is I could remind you, and it always is funny, the tools always use a pronoun. I can do that for you. But it told me, I can give you a reminder when I see something that looks like an instruction. I can give you a reminder to update the instructions document. So after a prompt, after I develop something, it'll say, oh yeah, you probably want to add this to the instructions document. And I say, revise the instructions document. Off it goes, creates a new instructions document. I eliminate the old one, I delete the old one. Now I have a new one, it's all updated. And it versions it for me. So I know I have it. Use these tools. Important, use projects. Every tool has a concept of projects. And what projects are basically an assemblage of all your materials, right? So if you're revising a course, for example, all your course materials go in as files into the project. The tools are generally, they're not designed for heavily formatted documents. So if you have PowerPoint slides, output them as PDF, put them into the thing. If you have Word document, pretty much export everything as a PDF as your materials and put it in there. It can read PDFs. It has tools to read PDFs. It doesn't have great tools to read like Apple proprietary formats or Microsoft proprietary formats, but PDFs it gets. And so now all that material is just sitting in there. So every time you put a prompt in and ask it to do something, it reads the instructions and then it goes down and looks at all the materials and figures out, oh, boom. This is a version of a technique in AI called retrieval augmented generation. It's not exactly that. That's also referred to as RAG. It's not exactly RAG, but comes kind of close. Yeah, they all build, again, this is all about guardrails, 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 context, context, context. Am I saying that too much? The deal with these tools, though, is that they're amazing. The technology is amazing. The interface to the technology, not so amazing. And so file management is a struggle. I use Claude.ai, and all the tools are similar to this. The file management is a struggle. It doesn't put stuff in folders for you. It doesn't sort by date created. It doesn't sort by alpha. At least in Claude, it puts everything in there based on the last thing I did, and it becomes the first thing in the list. So if you did something like a month ago, it's way down. You have to find it. in instructions, you can tell it what kind of file names you want to put on things. Very helpful. But yeah, you have to dig it up. And it's, at least in Claude, it gives little icons with truncated titles, which are not easy to read. I figured it out, but it's not easy. All prompts. Add the following to the end of every single prompt. This does not go in my instructions. This goes into every prompt, which is ask questions for clarification. Again, guardrails, context. I want to make sure that the tool understands what I want, and that is the way to do it. So what it does is it does just that. I'll put a prompt in, and it goes, okay. And it says, I'm thinking about this. And then it generates a list of questions. And then I respond to the questions in a new prompt. I usually copy and paste the questions and put them into a new prompt and then respond to them. It like zeroes in, zeroes in, zeroes in. The newest Claude is actually starting to do something a little different. It's actually popping up like a little application window that has the question, has like a list of questions, options, and then you select the one you want, and then it goes to the next question, which is interesting, but you know, functionality is a little weird. It prevents you from doing a lot of freeform. Another thing I do, this goes in instructions, but if I'm really like want to make sure that it really happens, I ask it for full URLs for every fact, figure, number, date, anything. I just don't. If you give me something, I want the entire URL for that. I want to know the entire source. This helps when you see something that looks a little off, right? You have a discipline. You know what's right. You have a sense for what is correct. If you see something's a little off, you have now an opportunity to go and check and see what it is without having to like go, oh, that fact seems a little weird. Like cut, paste fact into Google, look for it. And, you know, at least you have a starting place with a URL. And this is really, really helpful. All right, let's see, where am I going? Oh, sorry, there we are. Okay, let us begin. This is what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to build a race prompt to fix a syllabus. And I've already created a project as a demo for this. I've created a project. I've already put my syllabus and my schedule into, actually, it's not the schedule, it's actually the D2L course modules for 15 weeks. I already put those into the project files. So I have that context set aside. So we're going to switch over to that in just a second. And then I'm going to show you this little piece of as we go. You can follow along here. If you have a tool, you can try to do this with your own materials. It is not hard to do. All right, so before I go there, let me stop sharing. I can find my cursor. There we go. All right. All right, let me share again. Give me a second here. Where are you? Oh, hold on a second. Sorry, it's having trouble finding my cursor, so I'm hoping I can make this happen. It's a Zoom thing. We'll be with you momentarily. Okay, done. I'm actually going to flip over to home and show you just where things would start. Okay, so there I am. Okay, let me see if I can flip over here now and share that screen. Should be up there. Where are you? There we are. Perfect. Okay, here we are in Claude. This is the tool that I use. It's widely thought to be the least worst tool in terms of business practices on the market today. Every AI tool, this is a big discussion we can have later. Every AI tool, the business practices are some of the worst in the world. Talk to me later. But the tools are amazing. The actual technology is amazing. Let me close this window up as I see all of you there. And all right, so this is my Claude interface. This is what you see initially. Can everybody see that? Are you seeing that Claude interface up there? All right, good. And over here are my projects. You can see I have a lot of different projects. And yeah, ignore that last one. So I've got a lot of different projects. And I'm going to show you this one. This is my CTM AI prompting workshop demo. Right? I actually have to plug in because my battery is just about to die.
Are you on the paid version or the free?
I'm on a paid version. Yes, I am. And the reason is because I needed more work time in the tool. Now, you may have lost me there just a minute. I'll be back because I had to unplug a connector. I'll plug it in. What's that?
This way.
Oh, okay, all right.
There we go. Got it.
All right. Can everybody see me again? Can you see my screen? Not sure if my sharing is still up.
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can, excellent, okay. So, so here's my thing. And I've actually entered a prompt in here. I haven't made it race capable yet. I'll show you that in a second. But here's the thing. Right here is a little bit of description of the project. And that's helpful. I don't see it up there.
I see it in the Zoom room, so.
All right, hang on. We'll be right back with that share. Stop share. Yeah, because this Claude share. How about now? It says participants can now see your application. So I'm going with that.
Yep, we can see.
Excellent.
Your AI prompt work.
All right, so on the side again are my projects. This is the particular project I'm working on, the demo for this class. This is a description of the project here, and that can be as detailed as you want it to be. That's totally up to you. There are additional instructions over here. I have found that Claude doesn't pay attention to these. So usually what I put in these instructions are, go look at the standard instructions document and have it work from that. And then I have a standard instructions document that I put in the system. So here's my thing. We are going to let's see, build a race framework prompt for this task. All right, and you see my standard question there. So here we go. Off we go. Did not rehearse this, and there we go. Okay, so it's asking me some questions. It's already looked at my documents. Like it's looked at those documents already in that time. Between the time I hit return and the time it started putting stuff back up here, and it looked at those documents to figure out what they are. It's very quick, very quick. So now it's asking me questions. So now I go down here and I go 1. Okay, first question. They vary widely in quality. Some are common knowledge for, yeah, some don't align with chapter topics. You can see it's a mess. Should I assume the textbook chapter titles accurately describe the content? Right up to mention those topics? Yes. I'm going to say yes. Okay. 2, module content skips 8, 12, and 14. Doesn't mention 8 or 12. Should I write objects? Or do you want me to flag gaps? That's what I want you to do, because you're going to help me. What level of Bloom's taxonomy are you targeting? Okay, not instructional designer. What do I want to do? Currently lean heavily towards understand and discuss, given the students are building physical. Should I push objectives? Yes. Push objectives. You see, I'm giving like really like teeny tiny not even spelling them right, instructions, because it will figure them out. Are you keeping the same weekly structure and chapter sequence, or is the schedule, or is it, and this is where I've learned the former and the latter. So the former. So I'm telling you, look at the first thing. Number 5, should it be something you'll use with me in this project, or is it a reasonable prompt template, this project? So it's going to take a minute. It's thinking. I mean, there's a lot going on here, right? But, oh wow, it started already. There's a lot going on. It's going up to the web, going to a tool, coming back down. And now it's written this out. You're an instructional designer specializing in undergraduate game design curriculum. Measurable learning for Gen Z students with no prior knowledge of this. The action, it's written, this is the prompt that it has just written for me. The action, here's the things I want to do. The context, this is a revised syllabus for a 3 credit. It's taken all of this from the material I have, right? It's not inventing it. I've given it the context. And now it's pulling it in. It's where it is. Current learning objectives are inconsistent. Yes, thank you. Some are vague, some misaligned. Yes, great. Deliver the revised learning objectives organized by week in a table format with columns for all these things. Do you want me to execute it? We're just going to execute it right now because it looks pretty good. Execute. Again, take a little time, but really? So imagine I have to rewrite all the learning objectives for every chapter. Think about how long that takes you to do, right? Because there's the critical thinking, there's discipline knowledge, you have to apply that, you have to synthesize everything that's everywhere, you have to make sure you're not duplicating things unnecessarily. There's a lot that goes on in your head. So for 15 weeks of learning objectives for every week, how long does that take you? If you do it, how long does it take you? Right? Are you just writing learning objectives that just go in the syllabus, like those 7 or 8? This is writing them for every single week. And that's helpful for students. It goes into, I create a standard agenda. I have a standard set of slides for agendas. And like on the first day of class for that week, poof, goes into the agenda. Here's our learning objectives for this week. So now the students, I've set expectations for them. They know what we're going to do. And that makes it really easy. Yes, it is still thinking. Let me start. Why does it say let Claude start? Let me start. I will do this for you. Right now, let me build the document with revised learning objectives. The reason it's taking so long right now is because I haven't told it not to create it in Word format. It will create it in a text file format called Markdown, which is much faster. It's actually what the tools use as like its native format for input and output. But right now, it's accessing a tool to create a .docx, a fully editable .docx with headings, title, bullets, all standard Word stuff. So basically what it's creating actually is also an accessible Word document, right? You don't have to like think, oh, did I do that? It's so easy to create a document in Word. Maybe you use the title style, right? Or maybe you don't use styles at all. You can just like, okay, title is, 24-point bold, right? Well, that's actually not good accessibility-wise. Creating headings, they need to be styled that way. So they say H1, H2, heading 2. Oh, there we go. All right. 3-4 revised objectives per week. That didn't take long. With Bloom scaffolding, measurable verbs, assignment alignment. So it's looked at all my stuff and like lined this all up. It just did that for 15 weeks. What was that? 3 minutes, maybe? I guess. Now, do I have a finished thing? Not necessarily. but I have something to start with. I'm a big fan of creating drafts of things, especially when I go into like group meetings. We're like, oh, let's come up with a thing as a group. And I send a draft to people, say, hey, we're gonna start here. That works for me, for my own personal stuff. So I now have this thing. I have a gap analysis at the bottom. These are chapters that skipped. So I need to go look at those, figure those out, pulled in references of like, what is backward design? Because I'm not an instructional designer. Oh, is that what that is? I'm gonna dig into that a little bit. How to write measurable learning objectives for someone who's not an instructional designer. This is very helpful. But so now I have all the stuff, and let me see if I can expand it so you can see more of it. Yeah, it's a wide document. Let me see. Actually, I'm going to open it in Word so you can see. This is kind of nice. Like I said, oh, see, here we go. So got a little problem. It's not showing me what I wanted to show. So let's go back to here. And I'm going to say I cannot view the entire artifact, because that's what I call them. I don't call them documents because I don't know what the thing is going to be. Whatever it is, I call them artifacts. Let's see, regenerate as MD stands for markdown. This is the simple thing. This should go a lot faster because it's native. It doesn't have to go out and open up a, yeah, see it's generating the markdown right there. That's going to happen pretty quickly. And we'll be able to read it a lot better. It'll still put it into tables. What I do with these markdowns is the way I manage my files is whatever generates out of here, I have on my computer a folder for my course. And I have that structured with directories so I know what is happening where, what kind of deliverable it is. That is synced to a Google Drive, could be OneDrive. That gets synced to a Google Drive. I haven't found a good Markdown to Word converter for the Mac. So I can go to Google Drive. It's a little tedious, but I can go to Google Drive, open up the Markdown file, and then basically download it as a Word document back to that same directory. So now I'll have 2 copies of the file. And there's the Markdown version. Okay, not in a table anymore because Markdown, but still the same materials, right? Week 1, here's the blooms levels. Here's what has to happen in week 1. Here's what has to happen in week 2. Now, are they finished? Are they perfect? No. But it only took me like 5 to 7 minutes to make them. I think that's valuable. That means I can do a lot more for my courses. I found my courses are so much better, so much richer, and so much more complete than me. Now, you can say, oh, Todd, you're just lazy or you're sloppy or whatever. Yeah, maybe. I've been teaching for a long time. I have an idea. I have a way that I go about doing things. But I'm in a position right now where I'm trying to structure courses so that when they're in D2L or now Canvas, once they're in Canvas, they can just be handed off to someone and they can teach the course. And it's not reliant on me and my style and my approach. It's a standardized course that someone else can teach. Hopefully, assumedly with discipline specific knowledge, but it's structured and it's structured the way that works for my program. And again, it's not reliant on me, and that's super important for me. So that's that. That's my demo. Let's pop back out to my presentation. Continue to share. And can you all see that slide? Great.
Not in the Zoom room.
Okay, then we will figure out how to make that happen because Zoom. Let's see, go to, really, now you have multiple windows? Oh, gee, Zoom, please help me. Don't want that one. That one. Let's try this one. Oh, great. Okay, let's see. Gotta find which one is which. Thinks I'm still sharing. Give me half a second, guys. Try to share again. Let's go back this way. We're gonna go to here. Stop. Window. Share. Let's see, let me pull that window up. There we are. Share. Okay. Can you see that?
Yeah, we're good. The Zoom room.
Awesome. Okay. So this is hands-on practice for you. If you have time, we're running short, about 10 minutes. So I'm going to kind of skip over this. These slides are available for you. I've also created 3 different handouts for you. One is on tools. One is on thought leaders on AI and education. And one is on prompting frameworks.
And they're in the chat.
They're in the chat, great. So yeah, those are all available for you as resources to take a look at. So we're gonna skip through this pretty quick. All right. This is about instructor disclosure. We have no policies about what instructors need to tell their students. We do have a policy for AI in instruction and teaching that pretty much allows you to, as a faculty member, to handle an approach to AI the way you want to handle it in your course. So that can mean no AI in anything we do in here, or all in, use AI for anything you want. That doesn't conflict with the academic misconduct policies. Yes, fully generated AI material turned in as a student's own work is plagiarism, subject to all the penalties. So important to remember. But again, as a faculty member, as a teacher, if you are going to use AI to do things in your class, the students need to know that, right? And basically, you're trying to reflect, your behavior. So I disclose it in all my materials. It's always there. Students like this, right? I mean, we have a problem in our program where we teach our students about how to interact with businesses and clients. And the number one thing we tell them is, if you're going to use AI in anything, you need to tell your client that you're using that. They need to know, right? And I have horror stories about that. So here's the thing. Portions of the syllabus were drafted with AI assistance and reviewed, edited by the instructor. I have a much longer one that is human written. I did not use AI to write my disclosure, except if you look at my email, I do include there that I didn't use AI to create my signature, except for the disclosure about not using AI to create my signature. That was created using AI. Yeah, I do tell my students, I have a two section piece. One is my position, like my ethical position on AI. Again, amazing technology, worst business practices in the world. That's my position expressed in like 7 or 8 sentences. And then the next part is, and this is what I do. This is how I use it in my classes. Here's the things I do with it. My ethical position is I don't use it to create rich media, video, audio, imagery. I don't do that. Never do that. Because I understand, because I am that person, I understand the knowledge, the expertise, the work that goes into the talent that goes into creating that kind of material. And the fact that the training material was stolen to create that training material, that's a problem for me. Text-wise, yes, there's problematic stuff in the text world. but I'm all in on using it for text because if I were to try to do some of the things I do with these tools, my process would be start a search on whatever search engine, whether you're doing like Google Scholar, whatever. Start a search, go find stuff. Dump it into your Zotero or wherever you store your stuff, and you come up with you have hundreds of stuff, hundreds of pieces. Now you have to go and read each of those. Then you have to synthesize. You have to like kick out the junk. Then you have to synthesize it. And then you have to start thinking about how you're going to structure it. That is person months of work. In those person months or person year, I can do the same work in 20 minutes. So I have no problem using it for text stuff. I use it for analysis. I use it for review, brainstorming. You saw restructuring stuff. Yeah, all the things. Yeah, and this is what's get to. Model the behavior you want your students to do. You tell them I don't use it for this. You give it to them and say, ethically, you decide. You figure out, this is where I stand. Where do you stand? They need to understand. They need to have a position, right? Yeah. And actually gets to the whole thing where it's stealing, AI is going to steal critical thinking. No, it's just another element that you introduce into the critical thinking pile for students to dig into. Here's some free tools. The deal with the difference between free and paid. Limited work sessions with free tools. Yes, they will use your prompts and they will use your responses for future training. So anything you put in there, you're giving it away every time. And very often the free tools don't use the latest model, which can be a bummer. Paid tools, you get the latest stuff, doesn't use your work by default for training, which is great. You do get longer sessions, work sessions. With a free tool, if you're intensive on it, you'll be done in an hour or 2 hours. And then you have to wait 24 hours to get back into the tool. When I started working in June on my stuff, I went right to a paid tool. So I had longer, they refer to as that context window. I have a longer context window, do more work. In September, because I was going to double down, I went to a higher paid plan so that I have a lot of time. So now in the tool, I can run work on I can multitask in the tool with 2 different things happening, and it's all flying all over the place. That's what my choice. All right. That's the deal. Paid tools. Subscriptions are not paid for. MTSU does not pay for them. You can't, because of subscription, you can't put it on a P card. Yeah, doesn't happen. So until we get an enterprise license to something, and I have thoughts about that, yeah, that's going to be a problem. Recommended tools. I use Claude. It's like I said, it's the least worst of them. But it is a very powerful tool and it's excellent for text. We have Copilot here that you can use for free, and you get access to all of Copilot. Just so you know, it uses OpenAI's models, their GPT models. And then I also use Perplexity. It's also free. They have a paid plan. I like Perplexity because it's a AI-enabled search engine that brings back summaries from your search with links to all of the information that you're including. So I use it for fact checking. If I need like a quick, what's that statistic about whatever, I use Perplexity to do that, and it would give me, multiple instances. I use it to fix my toilet at home. I mean, all different things. I mean, it's pretty useful. I wasn't in on it, and then I decided, yeah, that's a good thing. What do we have here at MTSU? Boodlebox. There's a limited number of Boodlebox seats available from ITD. I think it's 300. I don't know how many have been used. I put my 50 or 60 students into it so that they have a free tool to use. Boodlebox is FERPA compliant, has access to many different models. It actually picks the model that it thinks best for that particular task, which is awesome. If you try to put personal information into it, it says, you know what? That's personal information. I won't do anything with that. So it like puts the brakes on. It's an interesting tool. It has big proponents. It has other people who don't like it. There's some limitations to it, but it has access to all kinds of models, not just text models, but also image generation, video, sound, etc. And it's easy to get. I threw Michael Barton's name in there. You probably don't want to contact him because he's the VP, but you can put in
ITD help at MTSU. ITD help at MTSU.
Yes, ITD help. If you go, you can create a work order. It's like the miscellaneous work order and ask for access to Boodlebox. And they'll check with Michael and go, yep, I have a license, and they'll add you in. So I would encourage you to do that because it's you get to try a lot of different things with it. Today, start small. This is important. Don't go big. Like, don't be me. Start small. Just pick one little thing and you'll see what you can do. And then you're going to move on and move on. Again, free tools, all your stuff is there. It's you're just giving it away. It's like Facebook. Whatever you put in there, you give it to Facebook. Same here. With the free tools, they're not free. Your payment is all your material. So I would encourage you to get at least a $20 a month plan. There's no discounts. It's it's $240 a year. And that's what it is. It's a subscription, which is like what? That's like 2 Netflix subscriptions, but it can make you really more efficient. If you come up with a really great prompt that does something really good for you, create a document someplace and copy and paste it in there. Because then you don't have to think like, what was that prompt I did? Yeah, you can get it back really, really easily. Always look to your discipline, your expertise, and check the materials. Everything I've told you about guardrails and context will help a lot, but they're a tool. They're not a finished tool. None of these tools are at 1.0 version. None of them. They're all still experiments. We need to all remember that. And you can bug the people in MT Online. They are creating a course in Canvas, which is AI for faculty. So coming soon to a Canvas near you. So when it gets up, they'll make an announcement and you'll be able to, get more information and pass it on to your colleagues as well. That is all. That's the phone that, wow, 11:01 or 12:01. Sorry. But thank you very much for today. I am todd.oneil@mtsu.edu. Contact me if you want more information, just want to chat, grab coffee, whatever. And we can talk more about this. I'm very excited about the potential. And, if we can leverage this across the university, just imagine. I'm going to be using it to like convert my D2L to Canvas.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you, Todd. Thank everybody in the Zoom room.